pushing limits of technology is a whole nother ballgame.
Lockheed Martin is really differentiates itself when it comes to innovation and developing new technologies, applying those technologies to not only aerospace and defense companies.
The defense side of it, that's a whole nother ballgame.
Think about big data, cloud computing, artificial intelligence. How do we take all of those technologies and integrate them together to the benefit of our customer who has some pretty demanding missions they're trying to accomplish for the safety and prosperity of our nation and of the world?
Today's episode is brought to you by Security Financial Management.
Welcome back to Best Advice Podcast, guys. I'm your host, Rob Lavalio, here as always with a partner here at Security Financial Management, Michael Allen, and joining us for the first time today is a longtime client of Security Financial Management, Chief Operating Officer of Lockheed Martin, Mr. Frank St. John. Frank, good morning, brother. How are you?
Good morning. Good morning. Good to be with you guys this morning.
Thank you so much for joining us. I know you have a busy schedule and an important schedule with Lockheed Martin. We're excited to hear all about it.
Yeah, but I'm happy to carve out a little bit of time to talk to you guys because helping people understand how to better understand and manage their finances is a great thing. So I appreciate you guys doing this.
Frank, Lockheed Martin's obviously a huge company, and it's very impressive how you worked your way up such a big company. Can you describe that path of becoming COO of such a profound firm?
Yeah, let me begin by saying that when I started, I honestly didn't even know there was such a thing as COO. I was a high school intern. And so the summer before my senior year, I started at what was then Martin Marietta. And I was 15 years old. And my mother drove me to work the first couple of weeks until I got my driver's license. And so I worked there prior to graduating high school. And then I went over to UCF and got an engineering degree. And I worked as a work experience program intern. Through that whole time, I was getting an engineering degree at UCF. And then when I graduated, I went into engineering on different programs and products that we were selling to our customer. And after about 20 years of taking on more and more responsibility in engineering, I eventually moved over to what we call program management, where you're basically responsible for delivering on the entire contract to include the engineering piece. And saw some success there, and then eventually started managing a portfolio of programs. And about 10 years ago, started moving into executive leadership. And so I've been the president of our missiles and fire control business area, I've been the president of our rotary and mission systems area. And then about 5 years ago, I was blessed to be asked to become the chief operating officer. So it's been more than a 40-year journey, but steady progress along the way, and just so blessed to be in this role now.
Wow. So you started with this company in high school. So you've pretty much seen A through Z of all different sectors of it, I'm guessing, with that much time.
Yeah, I've had some deep experience in some of the groups, exposure to all of it. And I feel like at this point, I know the corporation pretty well.
What I'm very impressed by is operations by itself is one truck, right? But then you have operations of pushing limits of technology is a whole nother ballgame. And then you have the defense side of it. That's a whole nother ballgame. So you're operating really 4 different operations of big items, important items.
And a lot of people look at Lockheed Martin and they see it as an industrial or a manufacturing company. But Lockheed Martin is really differentiates itself when it comes to innovation and developing new technologies, applying those technologies to our customers' missions, and also being an integrator of technologies that other people develop, not only aerospace and defense companies, but also commercial companies. If you think about big data, cloud computing, artificial intelligence, how do we take all of those technologies and integrate them together to the benefit of our customer who has some pretty demanding missions that they're trying to accomplish for the safety and prosperity of our nation and of the world?
So with the success you've had, was there a mentor or any advice you received along the way that kind of spiked that success that you've kept in mind as you've grown throughout your career?
I think at the heart of most people's success is a background of coaches and mentors. And I look back over my career and I see 6 or 8 people that stand out as people that I either emulated their leadership style, learned from them different lessons about the work we were doing, but also about how to relate to people, how to deal with challenges. A lot of good coaches and mentors over the years. I would also say great teams, great teammates. That continues even today. Some people occasionally say, how do you manage a 120,000
Can't
person
imagine. Yeah.
corporation? And my response is, I don't. I have a team of 8 or 10 people that I work very closely with, and then they have responsibilities and they have teams. And so it's really about how do you organize and communicate strategy and alignment through a large organization. I think another thing that has been a key all along is maintaining the focus on our customer's mission. The best business is to meet your customer's greatest need. And so we look at every day, what are the threats that our customers facing? How can we apply technology in a safe, affordable, reliable way to meet those needs? And then good business kind of follows out of that. And so keeping that focus on customer mission is really clear. And then I would also just say, in terms of personal success, if I keep my eye on making my teammates successful and benefiting our customers and our shareholders, my success is all taking care of itself. And put myself at the bottom of the list in terms of priorities, focus on the customers, the shareholders, the teammates, and then everything has just kind of worked out. I would add to that some great advice that I've received over the years, almost continually, is to just trust God through this whole process. He's got a plan and a purpose, and his favor is a big part of what's happened in my life. So that's what I would say were the keys to success here over the years.
That's amazing because especially at your position, you have to be likable and have the brains, which is hard to find. And you're clearly likable and clearly have a lot of brains. Very impressed there.
Yep. One of the things that I remember from my first meeting with you and Fressy at Frank was us having a praying just about our relationship in the very beginning. And that means so much. And it meant so much. I'll never forget it.
Yeah, it's hard to believe it's been that long. I was thinking as I was getting ready for this podcast, I thought it's been more than a decade at least. And then when I saw that it's been 13 years, I couldn't believe it. Time has really flown by. I would just say the experience has been a couple of things. One is consistently good outcomes. Over the last 13 years, there's been a lot of ups and downs in the market, and you and your team have been steady, constant, good advisors through that process. I've also experienced a real tailored personal focus. We have, and I'm sure a lot of your clients do, we have some interesting, unique objectives with our financial plan. You guys have always taken the time to dig into what's going on with family, what's going on with kids, what's going on with objectives we're trying to achieve. And it's just been a really solid, good experience. And that's why we continue to work with you after all these years, Mike.
Great. We really appreciate you guys too. Having a servant's heart is very important to me. And I know it's important to you as well.
Yeah, it's interesting. As you go through life, you always encounter different challenges or different opportunities in front of you. And a good example of something that you guys helped us work our way through was the home that my parents lived in for 40 plus years was a property that we owned. And when my parents passed away, we were faced with disposing of that property. And one of the things that we talked with you and the team about was what are the tax liabilities going to be associated with that? Because it had appreciated significantly over 40 years. And so you and Michael put us in touch with a group called the Realty Gift Fund. And it really allowed us to satisfy a bunch of objectives. We had the property appraised. We essentially deeded the property over to Realty Gift Fund. And then they charged a relatively small fee and donated the balance of the property value to our donor advised fund. And so that allowed us to do a lot of things. We avoided the headache of renovation and sale of the house. We got the tax benefit of donating the home and simultaneously avoided the tax on the appreciation. And that is something that, prior to the conversation with you and the folks at SFM, we never would have known was available to us. And it was fairly straightforward. It wasn't a heavy lift. And it was a solution that now I share with anybody that's in a similar situation. I say, here's a good idea. You ought to look into something like this.
Yeah, I thought it was a great experience too. That was really our first time using a Realty Gift Fund people, and they were introduced to us by American Endowment Foundation, who facilitates your donor advised fund. Yeah, the donor advised fund helps facilitate giving, and it is a great option for a lot of people, and it does other things too. It's to creating a long lasting legacy, which I know is important for you all in tax plan.
Yeah, and is one of the objectives that Fresca and I have from our financial plan is to be able to continue to, give generously as time goes on, even after the point at which I'll be retired. And that donor advised fund is a great way of taking highly appreciated assets and moving them in there and creating a channel for taking the blessings that we've received and being able to bless others. I would just say the experience, as I said, in working with you folks over the years has been incredibly positive. As our net worth and as our resources have grown, we have just continued to work with you and your team because of the personal attention and because of the professionalism and steady hand. And we count this relationship as one of the most valued relationships we have. You guys are great stewards of the responsibility we've asked you to take on with us.
So much. And I was so glad I brought Steve into the fold to be on our team. He's a great teammate and a great member of our team. Well,
yeah, absolutely.
All right, Frank, thanks again so much for joining us. We appreciate you being here so much. Remember, folks, the secret to wealth is not what you earn, it's what you keep. Happy days, everybody.
This podcast is for entertainment and educational purposes only and is not intended as personal financial advice. Before making any financial decision, please do your own research and consult a financial advisor as needed.